So instead of focusing on the minute information, we're going to focus on broad information. And so for more information about this in your area, we do have our HARN YouTube channel. So please feel to add questions to the chat box, especially when we are in the breakout rooms.
Okay, before we get to the nitty-gritty of financial aid, let's talk cost of attendance so that everyone's on the same page, no matter what college or university you attend. So cost of attendance, we have direct costs and indirect costs. So direct costs are expenses that you will receive a bill from the college or university at the beginning of each semester for the cost of tuition and fees and room and board if you live on campus. And indirect costs will be pretty much all the other costs that you will incur while enrolled in school. So depending where you purchase or rent books and school supplies will determine who you pay and how much. You can spend more or less than the estimated budget set by the college or university. If you have to take a plane, a bus, or the expenses of just traveling to and from college, driving, these costs are part of your travel expenses, which are budgeted by the college or university. You might spend more or less from the estimated budget that the college provides. Then you have miscellaneous or personal expenses. And those expenses can range from buying laundry detergent to buying a pair of socks. It just depends. If a college or university budgets $2,000 for your miscellaneous expenses, that doesn't mean that you have to spend the whole $2,000. You want to think about need versus wants. Okay, so where can I find the cost of attendance? So every college or university should have cost of attendance on their website. So if you want to find it, probably the most easiest way to do it is to do a search. There's a search box on the webpage of every college or university and just type in cost of attendance. But you want to make sure that when you're looking at cost of attendance, you're looking at tuition and fees, room and board, books and supplies, travel expenses, and miscellaneous or personal expenses. So sometimes it might not be spelled out completely on a particular website, so you might have to do a little digging and adding on your own. Another resource that you can use if you can't find the information that you need on that college website is you can go to College Board's Big Future. And on that website, there is a search box where you can put in the college name and click on the associated link for that college or university. And when you're on the page for the college or university, there is a menu of tabs on the left. Click on the tab Paying. There should be a breakdown of the cost of attendance. It may be 1 or 2 years behind, but it will give you a good estimate of these costs. Another thing that you can use is on every college or university website is the net price calculator. Okay, so before we start talking more about that calculator, let's talk about net price. What does it mean? Net price, for the purpose of these calculators, is the total cost of 1 year of college education for a first-time, full-time undergraduate student minus grants or need-based aid provided. When looking at the college or university, you should focus on the net price and not the sticker price, which would be the cost of attendance. Net price calculator is a smart tool to find both the cost of attendance and the estimated financial aid packet for each individual student. It can be found, like I said earlier, on every college or university's financial aid website. The net price calculator can help prospective students get a better handle on what they will be expected to pay. But you want to be careful because the calculator is only good as the user, okay? So you want to input accurate numbers. Remember that it is just an estimate and the actual cost might end up being higher or lower than the estimate provided by the net price calculator. On the college or university website, use the search box option and type in net price calculator. This will take you to the page where you and your parents can fill out the family financial information to get an immediate estimate. Remember, the quality of the numbers you input determine the quality of the estimated output of your estimated net price. Depending on your family financial situation and the estimate generated by the net price calculator may or may not encourage students to apply for early decision at some colleges. That was another HARN Summer Search series. But if you don't know about early decision, it is binding. So if you do early decision, whether you can afford to pay it or not, you're supposed to accept. So learn more about the admissions websites from your college or university, or connect with your admissions counselor for that college or university and ask questions. Okay, need-based financial aid. So with need-based financial aid, you have grants, scholarships, work study, and loans. Need-based aid is financial aid that is based on your family's financial circumstances. Grants, need-based scholarships, work study, you don't have to pay back, okay? Now, sometimes students work on campus and it might not be need-based, but there is also student employment. You want to check with your financial aid office for that school. Now, with loans, you have subsidized, unsubsidized, and parent loans. So subsidized loans, those loans, the interest does not start accruing until after you're no longer enrolled in school and that 6 months grace period has expired. But with unsubsidized loans, the interest start accruing when that loan is disbursed. So while you're still in school, you're still accruing interest. And then parents can also borrow, they can borrow the cost of attendance minus any other aid that the student will receive. Now, merit-based financial aid is not based on need. Merit-based financial aid is awarded in recognition of students' achievement. So this could be academic, athletic, artistic, etc. And then with a merit-based aid, it might be awarded by that college or university, state or community organization, as well as private organizations and donors. For example, the George and Mary Josephine Hammond Foundation Scholarship awards 70 scholarships to Houston area high school seniors for their undergraduate study.
Awesome. So now we're going to have a little video that's really short, and it does an overview of financial aid. Since we have a very limited time to cover financial aid, and there's a lot of information. So you're going to get a lot of links dropped in the chat box. So here we go. Oh, it didn't work. Let's hit. There we go.
So you want to go to college or career school. Maybe you started saving early. Maybe you'll discover some buried treasure, but more likely you'll need another plan. So if paying for college is going to fall on your shoulders, the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Federal Student Aid is the best place to turn for assistance. I bet you didn't know that we're the largest provider of grants, loans, and work-study funds, all of which are easy to apply for. And when it is time to apply for aid, head to your favorite spot to complete the free application for Federal Student Aid, or FAFSA. Each October, a new FAFSA is available for the next school year, and completing it is free when you go to the official website, fafsa.gov. Your selected colleges will use the information on your FAFSA to figure out how much aid you'll get, so make sure your info is accurate. But if you need to, you can go back and make some changes. If you get a grant or work-study job, congrats, you won't have to pay the money back. However, a federal loan is borrowed money, and you'll need to promise to repay it. Remember to borrow only what you need, because a federal student loan is a real loan. Just like with a car or home loan, it's important that you understand what you're agreeing to. Although college, financial aid, and the prospect of an instant noodle diet can be a little overwhelming, you'll be putting yourself on the path to success when you take the time to plan out your options and let the Office of Federal Student Aid help you along the way. If you have questions or need more information, please visit studentaid.gov.
Wonderful. So there's some things that you need to know before you apply for financial aid. And so these links are also going to be dropped in the chat box, so don't worry. So when you're applying for financial aid, your financial need is determined using the following formula. Cost of attendance minus the expected family contribution equals unmet need. So the expected family contribution is that number that is determined by filling out the FAFSA. So that's where that comes into play. And so colleges and universities will set the estimated cost of attendance for each student, and the FAFSA determines that EFC, and that will determine what your unmet financial need is. So the FAFSA is the official government online application to apply for federal student aid. Many states and institutions also use the FAFSA for state aid, and Texas is one of those states. The Texas application for state financial aid, TASFA, as it's known, this also is for students, and it collects information to help determine eligibility for state or even institutional aid for students who may be Texas residents but aren't eligible for the federal financial aid application, the FAFSA. So these students are encouraged to complete the TASFA. It is a PDF form, and you do have to send it to each individual college you're applying to. And so the link to the PDF form is also there. So the College Scholarship Service, or the CSS Profile, is another financial aid form that colleges and universities may also require to be awarded institutional aid. So please check with your college and universities that you're applying for and check what their financial aid requirements are. So how do you apply for financial aid? So here's the visual of how to apply for financial aid, and we'll start from the top. All need-based aid starts with completing the FAFSA. For institutional aid, you can submit the CSS profile on the College Board website. The CSS profile is not required by all universities, so check their websites. Next, the financial aid office may require you to upload your most recent tax documents. And then while you're doing all this, you're also continuing to apply for scholarships even outside the university. So continue checking your college and university student portal and your emails for any additional documentation that may be requested. So every year that you are in college, you are going to complete this process again. It's not a one and done thing. You have to do it every year. Also, every college and university will have a different priority deadline. So please check their websites. So this is a video. I'm not going to show it, but this is the link that's being dropped. So the FAFSA can seem intimidating, not just for those who've never filled it out before, but even those who've done it before. But don't worry, that's why we're giving you these resources and these links so that you can get acquainted through videos with the FAFSA, so you don't fear this. You don't fear the unknown because you'll get familiar with it. So watch this video series with your parents, and I'm sure it'll ease your fears a little bit. So same thing with the CSS profile. Not all schools use the CSS profile in addition to the FAFSA, but some schools do. So for those schools who do, this link here is also going to give you to get you to a video where you can watch an overview of what the CSS profile is and to get help. So make sure that you check with the financial aid office if they do require a CSS profile. Go ahead and use this link to become familiar with it first. And also universities like Rice or private university, we don't use a TASFA for the undocumented students or the DACA students. We use the CSS profile. So that's good to learn as well about some of the schools you may be applying to.
Okay, so I'm just going to speak a little bit more about merit aid and scholarships. Okay, so with the merit scholarships, they come in many different forms, and they're used to close the gap between the cost of attendance and need-based financial aid. So some of the colleges award the scholarships, and you do not have to fill out another application. In some colleges you do. So you want to be familiar with the rules for each one of the colleges. Also, different community organizations and private donors, like I said before, also offer merit scholarships. And with merit scholarships, sometimes it's a one-time thing. So you want to know whether or not that merit scholarship is renewable for the whole 4 years that you're in college, or is it just a one-time thing? Because a lot of times, even if they are renewable for the 4 years, you have to maintain a certain GPA. So, and also you want to make sure that you check the deadlines and see if the college requires you to fill out a separate application. And other merit scholarships are like departmental scholarships. So if you're majoring in, say, biology, there might be a biology scholarship or a political science scholarship. Those two usually have their own applications and deadlines. So you just have to be familiar with the university that you're applying to. So you definitely want to check this out on their website.
So as you just learned, many universities do have merit scholarships. They may or may not have additional applications, as Diana mentioned, but there are even more outside scholarships. And I think this is where students could get additional monies to really close that gap that aren't being covered by the university. And so there's different types of scholarships here. So there are community scholarships, church scholarships, private organizations, etc. And so a lot of students always ask me, where do I start? I don't even know where to look. And so these are just some recommendations that we're making here. I've worked with this college-based organization, College Greenlight, and so we are dropping the links to all of these that are featured here to their scholarship search pages, so you could use these resources. The Department of Labor even has their own scholarship finder, and that was new for me. I was just like, wow, I heard that they had something on there, but I hadn't explored it myself until recently. And so it's kind of nice that even our government's trying to help students as well. And then, of course, FastWeb has been around for many, many years. And so even when I was a student many years ago, FastWeb was a thing, I think. I can't remember, it seems like forever. But they do have scholarship search opportunities. And then, of course, you've got College Board. They've got a college scholarship search on their Big Future website. And then one of my favorites that I'm always promoting to family and friends on social media is the JLV College Counseling Scholarship. And the reason why I like this scholarship, I like them all, but this one here, I put in my email address, and once a month I get an email of a scholarship list that are due for the next month. So like right now we are in August. So I've gotten an email already saying these are scholarships that are due in September, so that if you are going to be constantly applying for scholarships to try to close that gap for college. This one's a great one that will give you reminders via email to go check their site for the monthly scholarships due. And it's a great resource, as I said before.
Okay, College for All Texans. This is a great resource for Texas students because what it does is it combines a lot of the different websites and resources into one location where you can access it. So you can find information on applying to different colleges, like if you want to apply to all Texas public universities. They're on the Apply Texas app. There's a link for that on that website. Like you would just click on the link on the icon for students, and there is a wealth of information to help you as well as for financial aid. And we mentioned earlier about TASFA. Some students, if you're an undocumented student, you might be a Texas resident, but you might not qualify for federal aid, so you wouldn't fill out FAFSA, but you might have to fill out TASFA. So you would just check with the university that you are applying to, and these are for public universities in Texas. There is also financial aid for students who fill out FAFSA. So if you are a U.S. citizen, you have a social security number, a permanent resident, you would fill out FAFSA, but it also, with filling out FAFSA, it's used to determine your Texas grants as well. So all of this information is on the website and net price calculators, and then there are military options and other resources. So I do highly recommend that if you haven't already visited College for All Texans website, that you do.
Awesome.
Okay, well that concludes our PowerPoint presentation. Thank you for attending this information session. And once again, if we didn't go in depth because of the amount of time that we have, but if you have any additional questions, please feel free to ask your financial aid questions while you are in the breakout rooms.
Yeah, also we have here the student8.gov website for all financial aid information. So that's kind of like the one-stop shop for financial aid. And I also included the 800 number for the FAFSA. So when you start your FAFSA in October, if you're doing it on the computer and you're stuck on a question, you can actually dial this number and you can get a live person on the phone. But depending on when you call and what day it is, if everybody's doing the FAFSA on the same time and calling that number, you may or may not have to wait. So be patient. So thank you so much. Good luck and best wishes.